Welcome everyone back to my channel. Today I have TaylorPOD on the channel. She is, if you have not already found her YouTube channel, that is links in the comments, but she is a full-time working mom of a 4-year-old. She owns 2 Bernese Mountain Dogs. And she has such an inspiring story that I want to share on this channel today. So without further ado, welcome Taylor to the channel. And for this video, I wanted to start off and just introduce you to my audience and let them know a little bit about yourself and basically how you found the world of print on demand, how you started it, and just your journey on how you got to where you are now with your Etsy and print on demand business.
Well, thank you for having me, Heather. I'm really excited to be doing this. I stumbled across the world of print on demand through TikTok. I lay in bed and watch TikTok at night, like I'm sure many people do. And I saw a random TikTok that was promising the world how to make money online. And normally, when I see things like that, which I've seen things like that before, I'm sure as many people can relate to, but this one caught my attention. It really seemed like it was something that was possible, and it was talking about print on demand. So I just did a little bit more research and looked online, found other creators making videos about it. And I am somebody who is a little extreme in everything that I do. So I just dove right in. I ordered an iPad at the time because I didn't have a computer or anything like that. So I ordered an iPad on Amazon Prime. So it was on my doorstep the next day. And then I was sitting at my kitchen table, immediately designing, opening an Etsy shop. My fiance came in and was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Starting a business." And that's literally just kind of how it started, just cannonball in. And I'm about to hit my 1 year. I'm calling it my Etsy anniversary. I am making that a thing.
I love that.
But yeah, so it's been a year or almost a year, and I'm almost to 6 figures in total revenue.
Wow, that is incredible. I can't the thing that just from talking to you prior to this call and hearing about just what you do on a daily basis, that you are working full time while starting a print on demand business with a 4-year-old and 2 Bernese Mountain Dogs that I'm sure are like other children, like it's
Yeah.
just so wild to me all that you're doing, and it's very inspiring. And my question is, how many hours have you been working on this business, would you estimate, outside of your full-time job?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I would devote a lot of time because I had an iPad. It was portable. I was
Yeah.
working in as many pockets of my time as I could. So it was during football season. We would go over family's house and I'd bring my iPad and I'd be sitting there designing. In the beginning, I would say I was probably working about 20 additional hours. So I was doing a lot of really early mornings, late nights after my son went to sleep, or wake up before he woke up, and just put my energy into it. I was passionate about it, so it didn't really feel like work. I enjoyed it. It's not like it felt like a chore or anything to me. So I looked forward to those pockets of time. Today, I don't spend nearly as much time. I feel like I've kind of found a good rhythm, which I think is very common once you do kind of get that momentum. Now I really only spend the mornings, maybe about half an hour at max, just going in, looking at my orders, approving orders. And that's really only because I'm kind of obsessive about it, where I want to be in there. I like to be a little bit more hands-on, which isn't necessary, but that's just my personal preference. So just that little bit of time in the mornings now, and it makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, and I love that you kind of differentiated, like, building the shop as opposed to just maintenance. I think that's something that we get asked a lot, on YouTube is, "Okay, there's no way you work on your shop half an hour." I feel like I get that in the comments all the time, and it's like, well, like, I didn't when I first began, but now, like, once you're maintaining the shop, it's a lot different. So when you were building the shop, how many listings have you posted in total? And how many listings would you say you had when you noticed your shop really starting to scale?
Yeah. So I Now I've been comfortable right around 800 listings, but I got to that point by around June of this previous year. Really, it started, I was about 100 listings a month when I first started. It took me a long time to list when I first started. And I think that once you get into a rhythm, it gets a little bit more efficient. Now, if I'm creating listings, I can do it much faster. I could probably create that in maybe a week as opposed to a whole month. But I just was consistent with that. And once I got to about June and I reached where my listings have just stayed, now it's just kind of as some listings fall off and expire and just adding and supplementing where need be. That's really been my process thus far. I would say, though, where I saw growth probably was around April to May. That's where I had the biggest jump in my revenue. I was pretty steady from October to April, but April to May is where I went from about $5,000 to $10,000 in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah, I think though that it was just that I started to really understand preparing a little bit better and knowing what to design for, where I think I was spending a lot of time going back or just designing for what was selling at that moment as opposed to what was to come.
Yeah, that's so true. And I guess that rolls into my next question is your Etsy shop, if you feel comfortable sharing, as far as was it evergreen or was it seasonal listings mostly, or did you have like a mixed niche type of shop?
So it's definitely a mix. I would say I focused more towards seasonal in the beginning. I think that just gave me a more of a clear sight of what to design for, which I think is a big struggle for many in the beginning. And it's just kind of analysis paralysis, overthinking, overload, looking at all of these different options. And so many people share, oh, this niche is great, this niche is great. And you just don't really know where to begin. So that at least just kept my head straight and something to focus towards. But as it has evolved, I've found evergreen has been where I can find more consistency. I still like to try to touch on the seasonal things because I like to think of those as ways of giving myself a bonus because they're a little surge when those things come. But if somebody's looking to build something that's more consistent and sustainable long term, I think evergreen is really the way to go.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's what I've noticed. Like ever since I opened my first shop, I was in the same boat where I was like chasing those holidays and it's seasonal. And then I was like, ah, man, I'm not seeing the sales other people say that they're getting, but then, you kind of get in that rhythm of the evergreen and then maybe mixing the seasonal with the evergreen a tiny bit that helped over time. But I really love that you mentioned that. And I guess going as far as products, would you say that you've had a one product shop or multiple product shop?
I like to do multiple products.
Yeah.
I did start with apparel. I think everybody starts with apparel for the most part. But as I've expanded, I've noticed that I'm able to have faster success with different product types. I'm able to create different listings, different product types that I see sales much faster, favorites much faster, and just see the momentum climb. I tend to gravitate towards what I'm seeing success with and doubling down. So that's kind of where my direction is headed. But I still think apparel has a lot of opportunity too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And are you looking to kind of stick in apparel or maybe move to other products or just kind of scale out what may be selling, I guess?
I don't think I would ever want to completely eliminate apparel because I don't think apparel is going anywhere. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a common conversation of if it's too saturated and, print on demand in general, especially with apparel, but people are always going to be wearing clothes, right? So I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. And I'm not going to eliminate it as an idea, but I may focus and shift the percentage that I have of apparel towards maybe some other items.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of where I'm going, like, with my new shop I've been doing. I'm like, well, like, I'm still doing apparel, but I'm like, maybe I'll go in and float into different product types that I haven't done before. And I think that's just a way of like scaling that I really like to do because it's easier, especially if you have a design that it's like, oh, I could put this design on a mug, on a tote bag, on a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and all the things that you can kind of gravitate to, which is really cool. So I'm guessing you've had multiple bestsellers at this point, right? If you're already hitting like over 10K a month. So
Yeah.
was it one design that went to multiple bestsellers that you noticed that just kind of popped off that maybe like scaled to different niches, or was it like multiple design styles? I know that's kind of like a funny question the way I phrased
Yeah,
it,
no,
but
it makes sense. It makes sense. It's funny because Etsy doesn't tell you when you have a bestseller. I was expecting some email like, "Oh, you have a bestseller," and I didn't realize how to learn that I have bestsellers until I could go into the app and view my shop almost as like a bystander, and that's where I started seeing bestseller badges for the first time. I don't think that I've necessarily had a specific niche. It's really just kind of all over the place. I would say where I noticed that I had one for the very first time is I had a product go what I would consider like viral, where it was just really getting a lot of sales and contributed to a lot of my sales in June. But as far as which bestsellers I've had, they've been all over the place as far as design.
I love that. It's like it's almost like one hit wonder. Like at least you had like you didn't have that one hit wonder. I guess I'm explaining this opposite, but like it wasn't like one hit wonder bestseller item that only kind of pulled the team as far as your listings go. You have like you diversified, and it's like, are you a Harry Potter fan?
Yeah.
Well,
I
I'm
love Harry Potter.
yeah.
Yes.
I actually have all so me and my husband, we have it's so strange. So I have the first 3 books and he had like the last I think it was like 5 books. I think that this how bad I am. Oh my god, I am not a true Harry Potter fan if I don't know this. But is there 8 books or is there 9 books?
That is the ultimate Harry Potter trivia question. And
Yeah,
I feel like I should not answer because I
I
don't
know.
know for sure, and I'm going to upset the other diehard Harry Potter fans.
I know. I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I shouldn't mention that." Well, anyways, just put it on the screen overlay because we for sure knew that.
Yep.
And basically, I had like the books that my husband didn't have, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is meant to be. This
It's
is,
a match made in heaven, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. That's how you know it's the one if they
Yeah.
have the other books you don't have in a
Yep.
series.
No, that's absolutely right. I
Yeah.
have to share this really quick because you mentioned Harry Potter. This is not print on demand related, but when I was younger, we entered into this sweepstakes at a Barnes and Noble, and my parents got a call that we had won this prize to go out to California to play in the Quidditch World Cup. At the time, it was coming out on GameCube,
That is
and
so basically, for anyone who's still with us at this stage after talking about Harry Potter, what I was going with that is, like, creating and diversifying your Etsy shop is a lot like being Voldemort, and people are gonna understand who are Harry Potter fans where I'm going with this, maybe they won't. But basically, in an Etsy shop, you have a lot of listings, and they're almost like your Horcruxes, they're your lifelines.
this is beautiful.
Yeah. This is the best analogy. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I'm in a silly
Okay.
mood today, Taylor. I am the worst. But basically, like, it's like putting your Horcruxes in your Etsy shop and seeing like them become bestsellers. It's like, okay, I have like 7 different Horcruxes in my Etsy shop that are just like popping off. And then when they all cohesively start like doing really well in your shop, it's like, okay, like, even like this is what I've had in my old Etsy shop that did really well. That shop, I had like I'd say like maybe 5 to 10 bestsellers that basically pulled the team, and those were like what I consider my Horcruxes in my business because they were just, they were making my business a full-time deal, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I can quit my job now with these Horcruxes basically or listings that ended up being bestsellers."
That is the best analogy that's
Yeah.
ever been put out there.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Taylor's probably like, "I am not coming back to this channel."
No, that's perfect. It was good.
Yeah.
I think many will understand,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. If we have diehard Harry Potter fans, first of all, we may have ended up on your hate list because we don't know the books. But second of all, I hope that an analogy really helped those of you who are Harry Potter fans. So anyways, the I don't even know where I'm going with the next question now. So, anywho, with your shop growing, have you tapped into Etsy ads or social media? Is there any specific marketing strategies that you've used in your Etsy business since the past year has happened?
Yeah, so I have been using Etsy ads since I started. When I first started, I was like, well, if it's something that's going to get my product in front of more eyeballs, why not? I didn't start with a crazy budget or anything like that. I just started with $1 a day. And then I saw a couple sales as a result. And so I was like, all right, let's take it up a notch. Let's go to $3 a day. And I've kind of just followed that pattern. But I feel that Etsy ads, they pay to see the path of your listing where they give you data, and I don't necessarily use them as a tool that I think, oh, they're going to bring me in boatloads of sales and, just hit the lottery with my shop. But I find that they give me so much insight to what's actually working, that is the value I get out of it, because then I'm able to create more things of what is working and double down a little bit more than I would be without the use of Etsy ads.
That's very true. I found that as well, just in like my new Etsy shop, and not to keep reverting back to my shop because it's not to the level of success your shop is doing right now. But in the new shop, I've been testing like new concepts that I didn't use in my original shop, and like that's what I've noticed as well, is just doing the ads. It does give your listings that visibility that they may not get if you just post them and then kind of let Etsy rank it on its own. Sometimes you may have, that really good listing that just skyrockets to the moon or something like that. So have you used social media then, or just ads completely?
Just ads. I've explored Pinterest a little bit, where I've pinned any listings that have like been bestsellers and things like that. I haven't found anything substantial of that. So I wouldn't say I have a strategy there or anything that is really concrete. Etsy ads have really been the main thing that I'm looking at my Etsy ads every day. I'm looking at the keywords that are being clicked, and constantly using that data.
And have you also done any like flash sales? Is there any sales strategy that you use in your shop?
I love a sale. As a consumer, I will always buy something if it's on sale. So I have absolutely implemented the same thing in my shop. I feel that's something that I saw shared a lot when I was first starting off in watching videos and whatnot. And so I think that there is definitely a benefit to having a sale. I know I can speak to when it is approaching the end of any sale that I have going on. I always get a little uptick in sales. I've even had somebody reach out and say, hey, your sale is expiring, but I can't get this until tomorrow. And I usually do a 24 to 48 hour sale on my shop. So I just play it off as you're in luck. There's another one tomorrow.
It's on again and
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it definitely makes a difference. I always have this little burst of sales right before midnight. And
Yep.
I can only attribute it to that timer that you see on a listing that has a sale that's about to expire.
Yep. Yeah. And this is something I learned from just working with you. If I'm okay to share just about your degree, that you have a background in marketing.
Yeah.
So is that usually encouraged, I guess, as far as the business world goes?
Yeah, I mean anything that can entice a customer, really, I feel like that's the biggest thing. There's always different ways of doing it, whether it's like a monetary incentive, or there's different types of incentives that you can offer with print on demand. It's going to be that flash sale, the 20% off, 25% off. I think also with that, Etsy kind of gives us clues as to what they see success with as well. And they generally want to push shops that have certain percentages of sales, especially with Q4 coming up. I know that if you have 25% off in your shop, and I think it was maybe the same last year, 20% off, something around there. Generally, they're giving that information because they see more success with shops who have it. So being able to read into those clues, and maybe it's because of my background that I'm able to, or I don't know, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you have good like feelers for like, okay, Etsy wants this. They're the company who, is the platform. So it's kind of like feeling out for what is the new wave of Etsy, I think is kind of
Yeah.
what you're saying is like,
Yeah, I think that they obviously have the answers to some extent. They have the numbers, they know what's working, they see the almighty algorithm that they have. And so I think if there's something that they're suggesting we do, it's probably for good reason.
mhm.
And I try to read into that when I can.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been looking at recently is the new pricing. I don't know if you've tried the new, like it's like a bidding. Have you tried that in the new shop yet?
I have not. I saw that. I'm not gonna lie, I X'd out of it real quick. It
Yeah.
didn't appeal to me. I have been a consumer of things that let you offer a price or pay what you feel. And I've had apps actually like that. There is a budgeting app that I had on my phone that you could pick your subscription. And I
Oh,
picked whatever the lowest one was.
yeah.
Because why would I pay more if
Yeah.
I have the option to pay less? And I think that most people would think that way. And it
Mhm.
just didn't seem like it would be a valuable use of my time. Maybe there's other handmade businesses, maybe there's things that I think could potentially benefit from that. I'm not quite sure that that would be the most beneficial thing to do with print on demand.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was kind of thinking as well. And part of me is like, man, maybe I should do a challenge and test it for 30 days. But even that, it goes back to doing the sales strategy. It's like, okay, like it, people when they see a deal, they're probably going to be enticed to buy that deal. So for me, I'm like, okay, if you do the bidding, then you're going to set your minimum to basically the same. That's probably your sale price, So it may feel like a customer's getting a deal, and that's the only strategy I was considering maybe trying out is doing that. But then it's
Yeah.
like,
I
it
also I don't know if I understood it correctly, but it seemed like they're able to make an offer and you have to then accept it or decline it or maybe even counter it. And so
Oh,
if that's the case, I feel like that also then puts another layer of this isn't so passive. If I'm getting all of these offers potentially, then I have to respond to any of them. And then I'm sure there's, if you don't accept within a certain period of time, and I just think it adds an extra layer of work, which I don't have time for.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I can imagine, I can imagine. Um, so the million-dollar question is, how much revenue would you make per month that would cause you or maybe make that decision to say, "Hey, this is enough for me to go and quit this job?"
That's a hard answer. It's a really good question, and it
Yeah,
makes for a really hard answer.
yeah.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
don't know. I think that anytime you explore going full time as an entrepreneur, I think that that comes with its own risk and reward and things like that. Just like working a corporate job has, risk and reward, especially in today's world. I think that this probably isn't the answer that people want to hear, but I think that I'll just know when that would be.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that answer because I think I didn't have a set amount when I said, "Okay, it's time to quit." And I did it slowly too. Like, it depends on how comfortable you are to quit too. For me, when I was about to quit, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do part-time for a little bit. And I was like, haha, this is cute and all. I'm going down to part-time. And my manager, they found me on YouTube and it was very embarrassing. I was just like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm sure like it would be funny to me if they were watching this because I know like a lot of my coworkers, like all my coworkers found out because my manager found out. And I had a really strong relationship with my manager and like the management team where I worked. Like I was just embarrassed because I didn't want people to know about YouTube. And
Yeah.
then they found out and I was like, "Oh man." And that actually made me quit faster because I was just like, "Oh man." Yeah. I was like, "I'm on YouTube, bye." Like, but my my business was doing, like it was over 20,000 a month in revenue, which like I know we talk big numbers in revenue, but like profit wise, that was like over 5,000 of profit for me. And I was like, that's well over what I was making in healthcare. So for me, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, okay, I'm making more than I am in healthcare. And if I quit, then I could put more time to this business. And with that, I could exponentially grow my business. However, I will say that like my husband, he has a really steady job too. Like that I was just like, well, like this is comfortable for me because I know he has a job that if the entrepreneur thing didn't work out, I will say like I had those like perks. Then I also, it's no secret, like on YouTube, we do make monetization. And that was one thing, one factor. And I have two income streams now, print on demand and YouTube, that it just made sense for me. I was like, okay, this is stable. I understand what you're saying there. And hopefully maybe that's valuable for anyone watching is like, there might not be that perfect number. Even for me, like, it's one of those things that you kind of just have to feel out, slowly go about it. So, I guess at the end of this video, I do have a last question that I ask every guest that comes on the channel. Also, before I do get to that last question, I do want to say we are doing an interview on Taylor's channel. So please definitely check her out, subscribe, and watch that video there. We also have a lot of freebies for you that Taylor's providing in the links. So make sure to grab that for like a free Etsy startup guide or Etsy print on demand startup guide that she has in links, and other things I will link below. But my last question for you is, if someone were to start, let's say during this video, you have inspired them. They're like, man, I watched Taylor POD. I am starting today. What are the 3 tips that you would give to that new entrepreneur that's wanting to start?
I would say just do it. Don't overthink it. I think that's usually the biggest hindrance is everybody overthinks it. And my third, this is more specific, I would say focus on branding your shop. That I think is something that's so vital for a very new shop because you don't have sales, you don't have reviews when you are first starting off, and people are shopping with their eyeballs. And so I think if you have a shop that looks complete, that looks very cohesive and is custom in the sense that you are making your own size charts, color charts, banner, logo, and they have a cohesive feel to them, I think that that will set you apart and earn the trust, because we do live in a world of there's Wish and Sheen, and people I think sometimes get a little eerie of when things don't have reviews on sites like that. And the same thing can come with Etsy as well. It's another platform that people can purchase things on. So I think that when you invest that time, put it into branding and then just do it and don't overthink it.
I love that. That is like so simple and just like just the best quick start. Like just do it today. Like just if you're looking to do this, there's so many valuable YouTube videos, especially on Taylor's channel. I found Taylor. I actually commented on the how we met. The way that me and Taylor POD met is I found her YouTube video. It was suggested on like my related videos section. So I clicked in and I watched some of your videos, and you were just so authentic and genuine, and you're just so real. Like you show everything on your channel. There's no like hidden things. And I just love your content. It is so valuable. Anyone who watches my channel, please check out her channel in the links below. Thank you so much, Taylor, for joining me today on this interview. I'm looking forward to doing your interview and also just collaborating in the future. So thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Alrighty. Well, see you guys.